Hey everyone, this is Joe. I am the digital astronomer. Today I want to do something a little bit different. You know, if you're a subscriber to my channel and you're a regular here, you know that I spend a lot of time focused on deep sky objects, galaxies, nebula, those types of objects. And sometimes I forget that one of the most intriguing objects in the night sky, in fact, the very first object that we all pay attention to as astronomers, is the moon. And so today what I want to do is share with you some images that I captured just a couple of weeks ago, back on May 20th, 2021, of the lunar surface. And so we're just going to spend some time looking at pictures that I captured of the moon. And these are some of the best images that I think that I've ever taken of the lunar surface. I hope that you'll enjoy them. And I hope most of all that not only will you enjoy them, but this will inspire you to go out and to spend a little bit more time imaging our nearest neighbor in the night sky, our own moon. Stick around. Okay, before we start looking at the pictures, I want to quickly show you the equipment that I use to capture this. This is my Orion ED80T telescope. I've got my ZWO 183 MC Pro camera on it. And then I've got it mounted on the Skywatcher HEQ5 mount. And this is a really good setup. It's basically for deep sky photography. It's not as good for planets, but it works pretty well for lunar imaging. The software, the capture software that I use is SharpCap. And if I go over here and I open up my folder here real quick, you'll see that I've captured about 10 different views here of the moon on the 20th. These were taken on May the 20th, 2021. You can see I have a total of 10 captures. The first capture, I focused on capturing sort of what I'll call the full sphere of the moon. You can see here that the moon was actually at a waxing gibbous phase. It was about 80%, a little over 80% visible, and about 58% illuminated, which I find is a really good time to image the moon because it shows up in great detail. It's not so washed out like you would if you were capturing it a day or two later, where more of the, there's more illumination and it washes things out. So this turned out to be a really good time for me to capture the moon. Also, it was sitting very, very high in the night sky, and I had incredibly good seeing conditions. So everything really worked out really good for that. Now, if I go ahead and sort of zoom in here just a little bit on this picture, I want to show you a few details here that you can see. First of all, you can clearly see the terminator running down through here along the edge of the moon. It's darkening about 20% of the lunar surface, and it casts a really nice shadow right down through here through the mare of Imbrium. And over this is Copernicus right here. This particular crater is Copernicus. And what I like about that is in this particular image is you just see the light capturing the top of the crater, and it just illuminates the rim of the crater. And I think that's kind of a neat look. Don't know if you like it or not, but I like it. Here we can see the mare of Serenity, the mare Tranquility, mare Crisium over here, along with some of the sinus asperatus that's connecting it to Mare Nectaris. And so it's a pretty nice picture. You can see here I've got good clarity down here. If we look at some of these craters that are running down along the length of the moon, we're going to look at those in more detail in a couple minutes. But overall, I really like this particular image. Now, if I go over to my next capture, capture number 2, you're going to see that I did a little trick here. I'm going to kind of zoom in on the northern portion of the moon. Now, I didn't go with a Barlow lens here. What I actually did was use the region of interest feature in SharpCap to kind of define a smaller area of the moon and just focus on that. Now, when I processed it and took it over to AutoStacker, I ended up using the drizzle three times drizzle. That way it made the picture, kind of enlarged it. And overall, I was really satisfied with this. Now, you'll notice here we're looking over the northern portion of the moon. On the left here, we can see the crater Plato. This is one of my favorite craters on the surface of the moon. Notice how flat the floor of this crater is. Now, what happened was when this crater was created, of course, the moon was struck by a meteor, and that's the impact caused this crater to be dug out of the lunar surface. But then later on, it was filled in with lava, and that's what creates such a flat, pristine surface here on this particular crater. Now, if we move over here, we can see sort of the edge of the Montes Alpes range. And notice this deep scar or canyon that is running here. You might be able to see it kind of looks like a cigar running here along the surface of the moon. This is a deep canyon that extends approximately 103 miles on the lunar surface. And what's interesting about it is at each end it's rather narrow, but at its widest point it's about 6 miles wide and about 250 feet high in places. So this is a deep canyon here running along the lunar surface. We can also see over here a couple of the predominant craters on the lunar surface here, Aristellus and Eudoxus. And to give you a sense of scale, Aristellus here has a diameter of about 53 miles in diameter. I want you to also notice some of the colors here. You'll notice here we have, of course, the traditional, the gray that we're accustomed to seeing on the lunar surface. Over here, we sort of have a reddish brown, and that's created by mineral deposits on the face of the Earth. Down here, or on the face of the lunar surface. Down here, we have a darker gray. This is processing this is what's known as a mineral moon, and because you're bringing out the various colors by increasing the saturation. And if you look right here at the top of the page, I've got a link to a video that I did showing you how to process your lunar pictures to bring out the color if you shoot them with a color camera. Okay, let's go over and let's take a look at the third capture. Okay, as I open up the third capture, what I did here is, you'll notice this is predominantly the same view, but I moved just slightly to the south. And my goal here was just to kind of help you to see a little bit more of Plato here. You can see that flat surface that I was talking to you about. You can also see the very rugged mountains running down along this region in on the lunar surface. We noticed the three major craters in this area, which are Aristellus, Autolycus, and Archimedes. These three craters can help you point. If you line up these three craters right here and just sort of move to the east just a little bit, right in this region here is where the Apollo 17 landing occurred. And so I always like to kind of look for where the various Apollo landings and different lunar missions were landing at. So that's kind of an interesting fact here. In fact, many years ago, I did a much closer up picture of that region, and you could kind of see the area known as the Hadley Rill that is right along Mount Hadley, and can kind of help you identify around the area where Apollo 17 landed. But I've lost that picture somewhere along the line. I've misplaced it. So let's go over and look at this region. We'll move a little further south, and we'll pick up another Apollo landing site. Okay, I'm opening up my what I've labeled here as capture number 4. This is probably one of my favorite images that I captured over the night. Here is again that same region. You're looking here right around that area I just showed you a minute ago, which is the area around the Apollo 17 landing area. Over in um, well, actually, I'm going to have to show you on another one. I'll show you the Apollo 11 landing here in area in just a couple of moments. It's actually on the next picture. But this is an area a little bit further south. The crater at the very bottom of this image right here is Copernicus, and you can see some of the ray features. Look at the, see this little lighter areas of gray that are coming out from this crater? That's some of the ray system that was created by this. You can also see the rays up here as well, and these are always interesting to see. Here's a little bit, you can see some of the ejecta coming out of these craters over here, and that's always an interesting area. Now, let me move over pick out my 5th capture. If I go over here, this shows actually, we looked at the Apollo 17 landing site. This is the area right around in here where Apollo 11 landed. And again, this is the easternmost portion of the Sea of Tranquility. I'm sorry, the westernmost portion of the Sea of Tranquility. And again, you can kind of look at these craters here. And if you get a map out of the lunar surface and exactly where Apollo 11 landed, which was right over in this area, somewhere in here, you can kind of narrow that down a little bit. If you get a 3 times Barlow lens out and a little bit more focal length on a telescope, you can actually zoom in on this area much, much more and get a little closer in image. But anyways, again, that kind of shows you that area here. I want to go now and kind of focus in on these areas right in here and these prominent areas. This is the crater of Ptolemais, this is Alphonsus, and this is as Rachel. Now, I may be mispronouncing those terribly, so I apologize that, but you can also see some of the white lines. See these white ejecta lines that are coming out here? These are actually coming from the crater Plato, which is a little further south. Now, let me go and prick. I want to show you one more capture here that I did. We're not going to look at all of these. Let me actually go a little further to the south here. And this is kind of a neat picture here because this shows you some of the rugged area in the south. Here you can see those 3 major craters that I was telling you about just a couple moments ago. This is Ptolemais, this is Alphonsus, and Rachel, or Azrakal. I'm not sure exactly how you say that. But anyways, again, some of the white lines showing the ejecta out of Tycho, which is right down here. But I want you to notice just the detail on the lunar surface. You can see here again some of these little canyon areas and little areas in the moon. This right here, see this little dark line? This is an area that really fascinates me. This is a cliff actually called the Rupus Recta. And you can only see it a couple of days a month when the sunlight is hitting the lunar surface just right. What happens here is there is a cliff that runs down along the moon, the surface of the moon. It's almost straight. So the first time I saw this, I actually thought that I had something on my camera lens or on my telescope and that this was just an aberration. But doing a little bit more research, this is the Rupus Recta. And again, you can only see it a day or two a month, but it really shows up nice in this particular picture. And this is a cliff. This is the lower side of the cliff. This is the higher side. So here you're catching a little more sunlight than this, and you get this nice dark feature that's running down through here. Again, you can see some areas where, look here, where a series of meteors or maybe ejecta from one of the other formations of craters hit here. You can see some of the overlapping craters that happen along here. Again, this is one of those reasons why I love to shoot the lunar surface. It is so fascinating just to look at each one of these craters. They each have their own distinct personality, their own distinct history, and of course, it's just a fascinating area. No matter how long you look at the lunar surface, there's always something that you haven't noticed before, that you haven't had an opportunity to look at. I'll show you one more picture here before we close out, and we'll just take a look at it. Let's see what the 10th capture had. This now shows you down in here. Again, we're seeing this is the crater Tycho, I believe. This one, actually, I didn't do in color. This is black and white, just to give you an idea of what a black and white picture would look like. But look at, again, just the enormous number of craters that are just riddled here along the southern end of the moon. All right. Those are my lunar pictures. I enjoy doing them every now and then. If you do astrophotography and you're out and the moon's too bright and you're not going to be able to do deep sky, don't hesitate to go and grab your equipment and focus on the moon a little bit. Okay, next week, I want to share with you a little bit about the capture software called Nina. In fact, I'm going to share with you three things, my three favorite features in Nina. So if you haven't subscribed, make sure you click on subscribe. If you enjoy this channel, share it with your friends. Help me to build it and to grow my subscriber list. Thank you for tuning in today. Just a quick reminder, if you enjoyed this video, please help support me by clicking on thumbs up and share. Thank you.